Hello everyone, welcome along. It's Betting Weekly Game Bet Match, #1 tennis betting podcast and YouTube show brought to you in association with Bet Rivers, your hometown sportsbook. I am Nigel Seeley over in Miami for the Open. We're at the tennis tomorrow. If you're enjoying the content we have here on this channel, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the like and give us your comments as well. Loads of subscribers join us all the time. Thank you very much. And let's get those subscribers up even higher than the current 8,000 that we have on this channel. Joining me, as per usual, on all these shows is our senior ATP Tour handicapper. Last week he was in Indian Wells. This week he is in the UK, where it's similar weather. Good afternoon to you, Sean.
It's a bit nicer actually than it was sometimes at Indian Wells. Yeah, when it gets the sun goes down or behind a cloud or whatever, and the wind picks up, it's freezing in Indian Wells. In my sun-trapped back garden here in South Essex, it's quite nice. Yeah, so yeah, I'm enjoying this unexpected and very small window of spring that we've got here.
Yeah, beautiful conditions today in Miami. I'm here for 6 days. I head back next Tuesday, and this is the best day of the whole time I'm here. Very, very hot conditions. So if you're betting with Bet Rivers today, on Wednesday, the conditions might be important, especially later on this afternoon when it's going to get very,
Thursday,
very hot. It's I knew it's Thursday. I'm losing track of the days. So anyway, let's go back. I've lost the day yesterday. On Thursday,
it's
make sure
you
head across Bet Rivers website. Look at those matches. The weather's going to be very important. We are previewing Friday's matches here, and the weather isn't the same as it is today for tomorrow, is it, Sean?
No, it's not quite as hot. It's still going to be quite sunny and quite nice and pleasant. 22 degrees is the temperature. That's down from, about 30 today that you've got there?
Yeah.
Approximately. So about 8 degrees centigrade cooler, but it's sunny all day, so it'll still be nice. I mean, they take these temperatures, they make them ambient temperatures, don't they? They take it in the shade. So if you're sat in the sun, 22 degrees, that will feel certainly hotter. So don't worry, you'll still have a nice day at the tennis if you go in there tomorrow. Bit of wind around. You're probably the best person to say about obviously the wind, because you're actually physically there. I'm only getting a weather forecast, but it's always quite breezy there. So that's nothing out of the ordinary. Just slightly cooler. Yeah.
Yeah, I arrived late yesterday. I watched the sunset last night and I watched the sunrise this morning. I haven't really been out and about to see the weather just yet, but I'll be watching the weather forecast on the TV. And they're saying tomorrow's a windy day and later in the week gets more windier. Today's not really much wind from what I see at the moment, but tomorrow certainly the wind may be a factor. And if you want to follow me here in Miami, I'm going to be at the Hard Rock Stadium tomorrow, which is Friday. I'm also going to be there on Sunday and Monday as well. So Friday, Sunday and Monday, I'll give you any information I hear, give you updates on the weather conditions, any news, any players I bump into, anything I hear on the courts. I'll be posting exclusively on our Instagram account @BecauseWeWin. So please make sure you subscribe to that as well. I'm asking you to do a lot of things. A subscription here is very nice, and a subscription on the Instagram account would be very nice as well. Anyway, enough to do about asking you what to do. This is what we're here to do. We're here to give you winners. And hopefully we can steer you in the right direction. We have 4 matches tomorrow with Bet Rivers to go through in the men's singles. Before we do so, Sean, you watched the play yesterday. Anything you take? We thought it was good. The conditions were going to be quick. Just looking by the results and looking by the court figures, it does look quick, doesn't it?
It does. It looks like a court to me that it's been in the previous couple of years, which suits first strike tennis. Big serve, big forehand. I watched a little bit of Bublik. Just after I did the live show yesterday, Bublik and Baez, it's a classic. That was a classic matchup of the power player, just overwhelming the sort of solid, dogged baseliner with big serve +1 forehand. Job done. And you can certainly play that sort of tennis on these courts. I also watched the Kovacevic match yesterday, which I have to say was a bit of daylight robbery for Khachanov to win that in straight sets. He was behind in the service points, 1 in return points, 1 tells. But Kovacevic went 0 from 9 on breakpoint chances. So, but he was hitting some lovely winners. Kovacevic, a flashy player anyway. But it's a court that you can serve big on. Obviously, Kyrgios as well, serving big. And you can hit winners on it. It's not a court for the baseline grinders. I haven't got any stats, but just from the naked eye, it looks, I would say, at least as quick as the last couple of years.
Yeah, certainly does look, though. Look at the results as well. If you look at the big hitters, they've had much the better of it. So it suggests that the court is very, very fast. That's through qualification and in what we saw in round 1 yesterday. Now we're moving on to round 2, which sees all the seeds coming into the action. Bet Rivers will have a full host of different markets, maybe 26, 27 different markets in each of these matches, which you'll be able to get on the Bet Rivers website or by downloading the app. And remember, if you have a bet on any one of these matches, you'll be able to bet live and watch live with Bet Rivers. All these matches will be streamed on the app and on the website. Starting off with one match, which I think, judging by the conditions, the odds may be not as the way I think this game might be going. Lorenzo Musetti, I know he's the finalist at Wimbledon, a semi-finalist at Wimbledon, but he's up against Quentin Halys here, who's much more suited by the quicker conditions. Halys is plus 125. A recent semi-finalist over in Dubai should have made the final in that match, should have beat Felix.
Yeah, very close.
Lorenzo Musetti is minus 157, the 16th seed. Come through, hasn't played yet, but he didn't play very well against Artur Fils in Indian Wells. Halys has come through qualification, beat Seyboth Wild last night. And Halys, I think, is probably better here. Plus 125 is the price you want to get on the money line. If you're looking at the handicap, well, the spread is 1.5. The totals here are 22.5. They have met once before, which was a long time ago, in a challenger in 2020, which Halys won as well. And yet the Frenchman here is the dog at plus 125. I quite like the dog here at plus 125. I think Musetti has got some fitness concerns, and the conditions aren't going to suit him. I think it's going to be much more in favour of the Frenchman.
Yeah, he's going to have to play really well to win this match. Musetti at minus 157. He did overcome a similar hurdle last year against Roman Safilin. Did it really well with a defensive masterclass, but it's not easy to do, particularly if Halys is firing on all cylinders, which he has been of recent times. And if you look at the last 10 matches on outdoor hard that Halys has played, he's got a 70% win rate, service points won and return points won, total of 100, 86% holds of serve, 77% first serve points won. And his only losses in those 10 matches were against Carlos Alcaraz and 2 defeats to Felix Auger-Aliassime, both of which were in a final set, one of which, as you said, was in a final set tiebreak. So he's in great form. We know the conditions favour him, that's for sure. This court is built for someone like Halys, big serve, big forehand, thanks very much. Move on to the next point. That's what he'll be looking to do. And he started this Miami very well as well. First round win against Seyboth Wild, who's on his day, more than capable on a hard court, as several top players will tell you. Won 82% of his first serve points against Seyboth Wild yesterday, only faced 1 break point. The scheduling is going to be important, isn't it? You know, this is one of the problems we have sometimes doing this show. We don't know what the scheduling is going to be, and obviously I would be more keen on Halys if this is a day match. We don't know that yet. If we look at what Musetti's done against the guys who I have down as big servers on my database, 8 of his last 9 opening sets have gone to at least 10 games. 4 of his last 9 have been tie breaks, which is 44%. That equates to odds of 2.27 plus 127. But we're getting 4.4 plus 340 with Bet Rivers that this opening set goes to a tie break, and plus 205, 3.05 that it goes over 10.5 games. Now, for me, that's a bit of value. I mean, Musetti is pretty strong on serve himself. I don't think he's going to have too many problems holding serve. Halys is not the best returner, that's for sure. And that's what you want to be looking for at a tournament like Miami. 2 strong servers, preferably both guys fairly weak on return. Musetti's not weak on return, but he's playing his first match here. He's come from Indian Wells, very different conditions, hasn't played that much tennis recently because of his calf injury. So I think it's a very good value here. Over 10.5 games in set 1 plus 205 for Bet Rivers.
I think you mentioned on the preview show that it could be a good strategy to bet over 10.5 games in most of the matches, especially in the daytime session. I think that's my strategy tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow, so hopefully I'll be watching this match. I'll be cheering on Halys for us. Like I say, you can watch that on Instagram because we win. But I do think my strategy tomorrow going there is to bet a lot of these matches over 10.5 in set 1 because it is fast. It is good weather, especially today as well. Today, I think that's a great strategy to go at. And, I think that is, if you bet them blind this week, I think you'll win for half a chance over 10.5 set 1s.
Well, even if you bet them blind in the last couple of years, 32% of them went over 10.5 in the opening set, which would equate to odds of about 3.13 plus 213. That's every single match, including obviously all the ones that are clay quarters versus clay quarters. With guys that serve pretty big, and preferably don't return that well, then something odds like this for this matchup in these conditions, I think that's value. But obviously, I don't know the time of the match. If it's a real late night match, that might be a little bit off putting. But Halys still performed really, really well in Dubai and Doha, and some of those were night matches when it got very, very cold and slow. It won't get that cold here. I don't think it'll get that slow here either. So yeah, I think that's definitely the way forward in this one, and in several matches. In fact, a lot of the matches I'm talking about today have the same theme.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a trend to have on the men's and the women's as well. Over 10.5 in set number one. Halys tiebreak as well, a very nice price. And we also think the Frenchman may just edge it on the money line at plus 125. I think he's the better player. But obviously, the key factor in this match is the scheduling. We're giving a bet here and some advice here, which will probably enhance, obviously, if it's a daytime. But we'll probably be a little bit cautious if it was an evening match. So when the order of play does come out, bear that in mind. Head across to the BetRivers website, see the amount of markets that they have there, which is better than anybody else across America on tennis betting, and then make your own opinion up here. But we give Halys a chance in what we expect to be a very tight and long opening set. The next match, I've had one bet in this tournament before we come on. So I bet Schoolkate is there plus 140. And he's up in action against Felix Auger-Aliassime today. Tomorrow.
Oh, you bet him yesterday against Ethan Quinn, you mean?
I bet him yesterday. It's Quinn, yeah. I
Right.
bet him. I was on the plane coming through, and I thought I'm gonna have a little bet. And I was looking at it, and I've been watching this Schoolkate quite a bit. He broke onto the scene in the Aussie Open. He's an Aussie, isn't he?
Yep.
And I broke onto the scene in the Australian Open, and I thought he's a big server, and I thought he's gonna do some damage at some big prices. And I took him yesterday against Quinn, and he absolutely blitzed him. 6-love, 6-2 it was. I wish there was all as easy as that, Sean, at plus 140. Wouldn't that be lovely? But
that would be great. I mean, Ethan Quinn didn't have the best day, but it was one of them where one player played great and the other one played below his standard, and that's the result. It's a very heavily one-sided victory for Schoolkate. But yeah, good bet, certainly in hindsight,
I tried to get on a little bit more than I actually was able to do, but I won. But unfortunately, I gave it back because I was able to get as much as I wanted on a women's match and gave the money back. So it ended up losing slightly on the plane coming over here. But this was my bet anyway.
The perils of WTA betting.
You can get on what you want on the losers, and you can't get on the winners. That's my sort of philosophy in the last few weeks. Anyway,
Sure.
we move on. Felix Auger-Aliassime here I looked at as a potential winner here. I thought the conditions might suit him, but I think this is going to be a tough match if Schoolkate can bring his A game that he did yesterday. Minus 435 for the Canadian Felix, plus 325 for Schoolkate. The spread here is 3.5. I think that's quite tempting for the Aussie, and the total is 22.5. Also, I think that could be quite an interesting one for the overs as well. Obviously, they haven't played before. This is Felix's first match. He's got a bye through to round 2. But Schoolkate, very, very impressive yesterday against Quinn. Would I be mad to be looking at the overs and the spread here? I mean,
no.
Felix always plays long opening sets. Tie breaks in opening set one have been a very, very profitable play in Felix Auger-Aliassime matches for the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, I think you'd be very sane to look at overs and set one overs.
The first person who's ever said me insane in the same in the same sentence.
Well, it's first time for everything. Felix, I mean, he remains the overs king. Felix, 14 of his 18 best of 3-set matches this year have gone over 22.5 games. That's 78%. So if you're taking it on that, if you're taking that as an average, then he should be 1.28 minus 355 to go over 22.5 games today, and he's more like even money. He's won 14 of those matches, but only 2 of those 14 wins came in under 22.5 games. And one of the 2 that didn't was exactly 22 games. So huge trend for the overs for Felix in recent times, and generally over the last few years as well. If you look at what he's done this season on outdoor hard, best of 3 sets, main level, he's only taken 30% of his breakpoint chances, which obviously isn't enough because he's not creating that many either. And he's holding 86% of the time. So this is what you want: a guy serving strongly, holding lots, but doing very little on return. If we also look at what Felix has done in Miami over the years, and this includes when it was on a previously slow surface over at Crandon Park. Actually, I'm not sure whether it was Crandon Park. Was it Crandon Park in 2019? Might not have been. Might have been the early days of the Hard Rock. Certainly a slower surface anyway than it is now. So here in Miami, his set 1 has gone over 10.5 games in 7 of his last 11. That's 64% of the time. which would equate to odds of 1.56 or minus 178. Both of his opening sets in his opening match in Miami on this new surface, this new lake hold in the last couple of years, they've both gone over 10.5 games as well. And he wasn't playing particularly strong opposition there either. Adam Walton and Thiago Monteiro were the guys that he faced. So every way you look at this, it's a match where you would think about, from Felix's point of view, overs, tie breaks. If you also look at what Schoolkate's done this year at main level, he hasn't played that many times at main level, but when he has, his serving stats have been very impressive. He's won 80% of his first serve points, and he's held serve 86% of the time, exactly the same as Felix. I know it's over a small sample size, but you can kind of see where he's going here. As you said, took a set off Jannik Sinner at the Australian Open, he was only the second player. Well, he was the first, actually, but he was one of only two players to take a set off Sinner at the AO. Holger Rune was the other one in that match where both of them were cramping and there was all sorts of peculiarities going on. So his game has held up, against the better players. Maybe he's one of those players that turns it on against the big guys. He's got an attacking game. He likes coming to the net. He's accomplished at doing that. In that match you talked about against Quinn yesterday, 11 aces, 85% first serve points won, and not a single break point faced. I know Quinn had a poor day, but that's going to be a big old boost for Schoolkate's confidence. So I'm going to take a couple of bets here. I think they're both good value. Again, set one over 10.5 games. That's plus 188 with Bet Rivers, and the over 22.5 games, which is excellent value statistically. 1.98 minus 102 with Bet Rivers. Split stake, half a point on each.
Like both of them, really do. I think Felix is the man to go to. Schoolkate is a player that I think is going to regress quite quickly in the men's game, moving up the rankings, and I think he's got a big serve that could cause problems here for Felix Auger-Aliassime. So overs is the way we're going there. Moving on to our penultimate match, and it's Brandon Nakashima against Roberto Baena. Baena has been a popular pick on this channel throughout the season. He's always done quite well for us, but he's an underdog here against Brandon Nakashima, who is into the top 32 in the world for the first time, which means he's seeded into the second round. He's minus 315 to win here, the American, plus 240 for Carballes Baena. Spread is 3.5 and total is 21.5. They've never met before, but last time out, Nakashima got beat by Shelton in Indian Wells. And Carballes Baena, as we said on the preview show, we thought he would get through against O'Connell, which he did fairly comfortably. So he covered the 1.5 handicap, didn't he? I know he won, but he did cover the spread we mentioned.
What was that, sorry?
Carballes Baena did cover the 1.5 spread, didn't he?
That was Munar that we had, not Carballes
Anyway, I'm losing the days, as I said.
It was Munar. That was João Munar. He covered it. He covered the 1.5 easily. We couldn't have that as an official pick if you remember, because the odds tumbled from about 1.91 into about 1.65. So I couldn't put that up at the price, but it still won. If you got on there early, then great.
Do you know when you travel somewhere and you've been travelling for like 12 hours, 14 hours?
Yes.
You're in the room, but you're a little bit hazy, aren't you? I'm a little bit hazy.
Yeah,
I'm in the room, but I'm not really there.
It takes several days, particularly, it's even worse at Indian Wells because you're minus 8 hours there, and it's obviously a longer journey, 20 hours or whatever. But, even New York is the same, sort of 4 or 5 hours. It does take your body and your brain a couple of days to kind of get its equilibrium back, if you like. But, this one, Nakashima against Carballes Baena. I mean, the irony is not lost on me that we had Carballes Baena to beat O'Connell at Indian Wells, and he was 1-5 in play, ended up losing. A week later, he plays the same guy in quicker conditions in Miami and wins. So there you go. That's an example of kind of irony in tennis betting, of which I'm sure people are aware. Again, feels like an overs match. Last 12 months on outdoor hard at main level, Nakashima, 56% win rate. Very good stats. Service points won and return points won, total of 102.6. Carballes Baena, very, very good as well. 50% win rate and a service points won and return points won, total of 101, which is why I often put him in hardcore bets, because his stats and his results are better than a lot of people think. Nakashima, again, a poor returner. Only wins 34% of return points and only breaks serve 17.5% of the time. He's terrible at taking his break point opportunities. But on the other side of the coin, holds 87% of the time. So again, this is kind of what you want. A guy who's getting on for 90% of the time, but really struggling to break. In Miami, what Nakashima's done here, his record is not that great. He's only played about 5 matches, but 89% holds of serve here. and he's only broken serve 14.5% of the time at this tournament. 3 of his 5 matches featuring a tiebreak. I watched his match all of his match actually against Ben Shelton that you talked about a minute ago, and it was exactly what I said. Really, he can't handle the situation on big points. I think he lost 7. It was 7-6 in the first set, wasn't he? He had numerous chances to win that first set against Ben Shelton. Didn't take any of them, which is the same old story. Shelton ended up nicking the tiebreak, and then Nakashima just completely folded. Went down, I think 6-1 in the second set there against Shelton. That's his problem. That lack of mental resilience, that lack of belief, if you like, whatever it is, on the big points, means he plays a lot of tie breaks, doesn't break serve enough. Carballes Baena is going to make this tough, and he does, in my opinion, play his best tennis in the slightly quicker conditions these days. A little bit of altitude on clay, or a decent paced hard court, where obviously he beat O'Connell yesterday. This is again, we haven't seen the schedule on this, but the same thinking applies. Over half a tiebreak, i.e., 1 tiebreak in the match, that's plus 163. Who bet Rivers? Just if you just bet all of them, 40% of the matches in Miami since it's been on this new surface do feature a tiebreak, which is odds of 2.5 plus 150. So that you're getting bigger than that about a match involving a guy that holds a lot and doesn't really break much. So that's where I'd be going here.
It's a similar thing. Over games, tie breaks, the lot. And the next match we're going to discuss is probably the one that on paper jumps out the most. It screams tie breaks, overs, everything. It's the battle between 2 massive servers in Nick Kyrgios and Khachanov. I watched Khachanov here last year against Sarundalo play an epic match. I think we were on the Argentinian. He got beat by Khachanov on the grandstand court.
I think he managed to lose every single one against Khachanov. I think it's 0-6 or something.
Yeah, if you never beat him in those conditions, he was never going to beat him. Kyrgios came through, won the first match for a long time, wasn't it? In qualification, I haven't got. Who did he beat? I can't remember who he beat.
Mackenzie McDonald.
Yeah, McDonald.
I think that was his first win since October 2022, off the top of my head.
Well, I think this is all about whether Kyrgios is able to play back-to-back matches and his fitness levels are where they should be. And he come through a long match. It was a long match. It was a 3-setter as well. So. It's all about Kyrgios' fitness here and his motivation and how determined he is to go well deep in his tournament. He's going to have a huge support here against the Russian. If you look at the odds, Khachanov is a very, very heavy favourite. He's minus 265. Kyrgios is plus $2, and the spread here is 2.5. With the totals is the one that jumps out the page straight away. Because in a match like this, if Kyrgios was fit, you'd be looking at a 25.5 kind of total, 23.5 with over at plus 104. Is unheard of. You would be over 23.5 at minus 134, and the under would be the under would be the plus money. So Bet Rivers are worried slightly about Kyrgios' form, and that's the reason why you're getting these prices. Because if you look at the head-to-head here, it just screams tie breaks and games. I mean, they played 3 times before, 2 wins to 1 to Khachanov, 7 tie breaks in those matches. The 2 matches in best of 5 sets have both gone the distance in the 2 majors in the US Open and the Australian Open, in quick conditions, which is similar to what we're going to see here. So really, I think your attack would be the same as me, because I think we've got to play first set bets, because there is a chance that if it goes long in first set, Kyrgios might not complete the match, and in set 1, it might make it competitive. So I don't know what the line is, because you've got it in front of me, but judging by the 23.5 here, I can imagine tie-break in set number 1 or over 10.5 in set 1 is a very generous price.
Yeah, it's 2.5 plus 150 over 10.5 games in set 1. I mean,
what price would you be, Sean, if Kyrgios was fit? Say Kyrgios was really fit in a game like this, you'd be 25.5 games. I reckon you'd be
probably,
plus 110.
I'd probably go maybe even money to go over 10.5. Maybe even a smidgen of odds on 1.98 or 1.96, something like that.
What price is a tie-break in set 1?
I don't know. I haven't got it here. I think it's 2.5, so probably about 2 to 1. I would guess.
Wow, I mean that could be a massive price, really, in hindsight, because it could go really close to set number 1, and then Kyrgios run out of gas but you set and retire. I mean, you're setting up set number 1 bets are all cashed.
Yeah, I mean he didn't have that. I know he played 3 sets against McDonald, but he only played an hour and 43 minutes. You know, there's not he's doing that on purpose. I think there's not deliberately not extending the rallies. You know, he probably knows he can't beat someone like McDonald over a grind, but he didn't need to. You know, he didn't play particularly well from the back of the court. He only won 41% of his second serve points against McDonald. McDonald won 54%, so you could certainly argue that McDonald was much better from the back of the court, but it's that serve again, isn't it? The scheduling is obviously going to be vital for this match, almost as vital as how well Nick Kyrgios' wrist holds up after those 3 sets. I wouldn't say the physical fitness element is that much of a worry. I mean, he should have been able to do his normal physical fitness regime in terms of, you know, the bike and the running and whatever else he does. He should have had no problem doing that. I know it doesn't replace match fitness, but he should still be fit enough to compete in over 2 or 3 quick sets, you know, less than a couple of hours. It's the wrist that's the problem. I mean, he was a decent sized underdog to beat McDonald yesterday because of the way he looked in Indian Wells. He looked like the way he was crying after the match. He just looked to me like he would never play tennis again. I think he said something similar. You know, it just felt like that was the end. You know, he's had all that surgery. It's extremely difficult to come back from wrist injury anyway. You know, you asked Dominic Thiem and many others. And that's why he was that price against McDonald. He hit 10-1 in play against Mackenzie McDonald yesterday after he lost the first set. So the Kyrgios back is the loyalists, the Kyrgios loyalists backing him, you know, in play would have had a very successful day. You know, it's all about the serve. He won that match on the first serve, basically 77% first serve points won. Puts the pressure on your opponent. Someone like McDonald that hasn't got a massive serve, the pressure's there for him to keep holding, and McDonald is not the toughest mentally, with all due respect, and he cracked under the pressure. But if you look at what these two have done, Kyrgios and Khachanov, as you said, they're head-to-head 3 matches. Both men win 80% of first serve points. Holds of serve, 89% Kyrgios, 92% Khachanov. Return points won, 28% Kyrgios, 30% Khachanov, and they play over half a tiebreak per set, 0.54 tiebreaks per set. I mean, it's not like Khachanov's coming in here either in particularly great form at all. He's lost 5 of his last 7 matches. And he'll certainly be looking at this match thinking, oh, great, my first match is against Nick Kyrgios on a quick court that I haven't played on yet. You know, it's not a match that he's going to be looking forward to. He was eased aside by Ben Shelton, another big server, at Indian Wells, straight sets. So it's all about 2 things. It's all about the scheduling. Is this a day match? I mean, I would prefer it to be a day match on one of the outside courts. It probably won't be, given that it's Kyrgios. But if this is in sort of the afternoon, late morning, early afternoon, whatever, on an outside court, I'll be very keen on the set 1 overs. But even the match he played yesterday against McDonald, that was on the main court, wasn't it? And he still managed to win 77%, hit 13 aces, and sort of dominate with his first serve. So, yeah, I think you would have to seriously consider odds of plus 150 about set 1 over 10.5 games, or take the tie breaks. It's got to go that way. Kyrgios isn't going to give up now. He's shown his resilience coming back from this wrist injury. He's not going to say, oh, well, I've shown you I can still do it. Thanks very much. He's going to want to beat Khachanov, and you know, he may well do it if his wrist is okay. He could turn up here and withdraw. That's possible as well. So you pay your money and you take your choice, but that's where I would go.
Yeah, plus 145 is over 10.5 games now with Bet Rivers, and plus 220 for a tie break if you want it to be a little bit more daring. 7 tie breaks between these two. That's what I'm going to be playing. I'll be playing the overs and the tie breaks as well. I think it's an overs day. It's an overs tournament. It's the strategy that we said at the beginning of the show, and also the strategy we said on the preview show as well. And I think the bets that Sean has advised there show exactly our way of thinking, not only for tomorrow, but for the rest of the tournament as well, over here in Miami. Remember, there's so much more content here on Betting Weekly Studios on YouTube. No Premier League football this week, or no soccer this week, on the whole of Europe this week, because it's international break. But today, at 3 o'clock Eastern time, Rory Barlow will be breaking down, or sorry, 3 o'clock UK, 11 o'clock Eastern time, Rory Barlow will be breaking down all the international matches. If you've seen this After the show, you'll be able to watch it on Catch Up as well on the YouTube channel. And tomorrow, I'll be on Betting Weekly live at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, looking at the tennis here in Miami on the men's and the women's draw as well. Myself and Sean will be back on Saturday at a different time. So we'll be on Saturday in the morning. So hopefully have a preview for Sunday's matches as well. And as I said at the top of the show, you can follow all my action here in Miami exclusively on the Because We Win Instagram account, Because We Win. Give us a follow on there, and you'll see me at the tennis for 3 days this week, as well as my adventures over here in Miami. I'm going to Little Havana on a food tour.
Nice.
Have some food around Little Havana, and I'm going on the Everglades. Going to go see the alligators and the crocodiles.
Oh, I've done that. That's nice. I like that.
I'm looking forward to that, so I'm going there as well. So you better see me fall in. Fight the alligators, the Crocodile Dundee of South London. That's me, Nigel Seeley.
Have you been there before?
That's been it for the So I've never been. No.
Yeah, it's kind of strange with all the alligators like wandering around, only sort of a meter or so away from me. It's a little bit peculiar, but yeah, it's fun. Yeah, definitely enjoy that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going there on Sunday afternoon, and then I'm going to the tennis on Sunday evening. So, see, I come back with like that. I lose a few fingers,
a limb missing or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you better follow that all on the Instagram account Because We Win. And that is it for today. As I said, myself and Sean will be back on Saturday. Good luck with your bets today. Enjoy the weather over in Blighty, Sean. It's going to be a nice day. So put your shorts on, get the old sunshine on.
They're on.
I'm going to go down by the pool. And I've got the old Factor 50 ready to go for the pool. I'm not going to come back sunburn.
Take no chances.
Take no chances. Have a good day and enjoy the tennis. Good luck with your bets, and we'll speak to you all again on Saturday for the last edition of Betting Weekly Game Bet Match of the Week. Take care.